here today because at this time, trade officials from Australia, the US, Japan and 9 other Pacific Rim countries are meeting in Hawaii for yet another round of secret talks on the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. The US is driving the agenda on behalf of its most powerful export industries. Basically, they want to restrict our laws in certain areas and they want to be able to sue us about other domestic laws. And we say no to this. Our government is secretly trading away our rights. We're in the dark and we don't get to see the detail until after the deal is done.
As nurses and midwives, we know that trade can be beneficial to communities and their healthcare status. But to be beneficial requires that trade to be fair and not exploitive. It makes sense that our governments retain the ability to enact legislation to protect our healthcare and the environment. It makes sense that we have affordable and effective medicines through our pharmaceutical benefits scheme. It makes sense that we have access to cheaper generic medicines rather than the more, sometimes massively more, expensive brand names. There is every indication that access to affordable medicines is at risk under the TPP. We know this because leaked documents set the scene for changing the way our PBS functions and allows unprecedented access for the pharmaceutical companies to the PBS decision-making process. This means more and more out-of-pocket expenses for you and me, for our hospitals, and is paramount to a death sentence in developing nations.
We're very concerned about what this is going to mean to Australians and especially for us as nurses for our patients. TPP looks like it would mean that generic medicines would be off the table for a lot of people, with prices being astronomical if that was to occur.
We are told that healthcare professionals can't have access to the text of the negotiations because this would threaten commercial in confidence negotiations. That means that giving us access to the text would seemingly threaten profit. The question for the Australian community is this: who do you trust when it comes to your health care? It certainly should not be our current federal government. Minister Robb is quoted as saying, "I'm not going to do something that I think is not in the public interest." How can we trust a government that increased the cost of seeing a GP and who cuts health funding to the states?
So don't be fooled either by weasel words which tell us not to worry because there's going to be a parliamentary inquiry. The crucial thing they leave out about this is that the parliamentary inquiry only happens after the deal is signed and it can't change the text.
This is a very frightening prospect, so we all have to gather together to say no to the government. Let us know it's in the text. Before you sign it, let us know it's in it.
This is a government that we need to hold to account, a government that we need to question, and a government that has proven over and over again that they cannot be trusted. We say no to the TPP. Our public health care must not be negotiated away in secrecy.
TPP, release the text. TPP, release the text.